No! It can't be! No!
Why does God hate me so much? No, honestly, it's a valid question at this point, Butts. Every single time my life is going on the success pillar to happiness, he removes a marble under my feet and I crash to the earth. I was never born with any advantages. I mean, yeah, of course, I can walk home alone at night, and I face, like, no real obstacles because of my race, disability, or creed. But just because I don't face any police brutality because of my skin color, or have to worry about looking at a man in an incorrect way down a dark alley as a woman, doesn't mean my problems don't matter. So I implore to you, God, why the f*** do you keep letting these people redesign their brands? I never used to have a problem with brand redesigns because I recognize there's probably a load of underpaid interns at these companies and probably a load of overpaid employees who are all trying to justify their role so they don't get laid off or, you know, just told to go home because they're not getting paid anyway. But I just feel like it's escalating to the point where everybody and their mother's doing it, and I feel a little bit like a dog getting his nose rubbed in pee. No, I don't want it.
Come on, smell it. You peed in it.
Yeah, I peed there?
Yeah, you peed there. Smell it.
Oh, okay, I will. Oh. Okay, wait, no, you're not meant to like this. Stop. It's entirely possible I could have ignored this trend, as after all it only affected one or two of my favorite treats. But after the news I found out yesterday, I don't think I could possibly ignore it in good conscience anymore. Because, my friends, Spur, the institution, the family, the home, the best place for crappy good food, decided to ditch their classic logo that was just perfect, in sake of this monstrosity. Spur My Pretties is a proper restaurant for proper blokes who like a proper good meal. It is a staple restaurant institution for any South African, and it stands shoulder to shoulder with other giants like Wimpy and Panarottis. I cannot tell you the amount of times me and my family went there on a Tuesday, because they always used to have the burger special, where you would get 2 cheddar melt burgers and a portion of chips, alongside a cream soda for the nice price of 100 rand. God knows how many years ago that was. May as well be 1,000 by now. Point I'm trying to make is, it is basically synonymous with the culture. Probably as I'm describing it, there's a bunch of kids who are getting the smell of cigarette smoke up their nose because their parents used to eat in the smoking section. They can probably even remember the PS2 games that were hooked up to the televisions in the playroom, alongside with the musky ball pit that smelled really funny. And of course, who could forget their classic mascot that you used to draw around and help him find his way home on the maze map, the little Native American boy. It's a steak and buffalo wing themed restaurant. They're not exactly culturally sensitive, sue 'em. Even talking about it now as like a really old man whose age I'm not gonna say, I can still smell the overdone steak and the burnt black burgers. And who could forget the salad dressing that you would put on your chips because it was so unbelievably tasty. But now, because of some decision of some overpaid guy who's just there to whack off on the company's time, that taste has been turned bitter, because no longer do I associate Spur with good meals, I associate Spur with a gay bar. You cannot tell me that this logo does not look like a YMCA gay club. Do you know how untalented you have to be to take a pseudo cowboy themed restaurant logo and make it into a disco ball? You gotta suck pretty hard, homie. See, the problem with all of these redesigns, and especially in Spur's case in particular, they're never any good. They always look off, they always look miscolored, and they're always too simplified. There's no character behind any of it. And for as much as brands want to be recognized as the cool, fun guys that can have a really cool party with you as long as it doesn't affect their profit lines, they're going in the wrong direction with these simplifications. I like to see a cult of personality to the places I'm entering. I used to love the fact that when I went into a McDonald's, there was a whole orchestra of colors. Now this gray Obelix is just off-putting. Probably the best way of describing the feeling upon seeing this building is if we channel our inner Moist Critical for a second.
Every time I see the new McDonald's building, I feel like I'm in an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants. I feel as if though Plankton is trying to trick me into eating the gunk off of his boots. The only thing I could imagine that would be worse is if I lived in an alternate timeline where the movie Moonfall didn't exist.
Let me be transparent about this. I'm not 110% against all brand redesigns need to be stopped, because very rarely, and I'm very, very specific about being very, very, very rarely, it benefits the company and it does look better. Can't think of a single one off the top of my head, but you know, broken clock twice a day and all that. But I'm against the oversimplification and the over-design. If you are going to redo a brand logo, you need to pack it with personality so people are interested in the product you are selling, regardless of whether or not you're a legacy brand. There's this fantastic episode of Colin and Samir where they interview one of the Sidemen's managers, who, by the way, their channel I cannot recommend enough if you're interested in YouTube. YouTube. It is so informative and interesting. And in this interview, the Sidemen's manager raises a very interesting point, where he was talking about the cult of personality in an options market. He was illustrating, for example, if you don't know, the Sidemen have a chicken business, that if a fan of, say, the Sidemen went into a mall and they saw KFC and they saw the Sidemen's brand chicken, it is far more likely that that person is probably going to go to the Sidemen because of the familiarity he has with them. And although I don't think that directly translates to my redesign brand point, I do feel there is something to be said about that comparison. I mean, I, for example, know for a fact if I had Sidemen and KFC next to one another, I'd still pick KFC because I have more of an affinity with KFC. But if I was a 12-year-old boy who was obsessed with the Sidemen, or a grown man, KFC would have to have a really appealing interior and logo in order to draw me away from that thing that I find so much comfort in, which is my favorite brand of creators. Kind of a messy comparison, I know, but suck my balls, homie, I'm emotionally upset. Two key things I want people to take away from what I'm saying here. Brands, take a lesson from what I'm saying, please. You gotta listen to the random guy on the internet, surely. Nobody wants oversimplification. In the Spur logo case specifically, it's kind of a mix of just being god ugly and being simplified, but in general, we want to be attracted to your brand by the cool designs that you have on it. You're taking away when you should be adding and improving. And I know it's difficult to hear, but you can improve your life by legally subscribing to Dino on YouTube. Every one of my brothers and sisters who bleeds rainbow, destroy every Spur. I think the biggest issue that every South African currently faces, besides the poverty, high crime rate, low income, lactis efficient school, corruption in government, unbelievable amount of car thefts, I know I said crime, but I'm saying it twice, is the fact that Spur changed their logo, even though people probably can't even afford to eat there anymore anyway. Okay, bye!